Hey everybody, welcome back to our Liberty House. My name is Lucas. My wife Beth and I run this channel where we share all things garden, DIY, and on Thursdays we like to bring our harvest into the kitchen and share some great recipes with you guys. Today is the summer solstice. It's June 21st, and in honor of that, we are going to do a garden tour and harvest and show you what we have going on here. Let's get going. All right, let's get started in the back of our garden in our U-shaped bed where we have what we call the tomato wall. And I'm very proud of this. All the plants are like 6 feet tall and loaded with fruit. All right, so starting with our tomato wall, we have 5 San Marzano variety, which are kind of like aroma. They're great for pastes and sauces and even salad. You know, they're a saladette tomato. And you can look at, in our past videos, I did a pruning video on how I pruned these and got them 6 feet tall over the top of our trellis. And in the next couple weeks, I'm gonna do a video on what to do when your tomatoes reach the top of your trellis and how to top them. And then on the far side over here, let me go grab one. We have a giant red cherry variety. These aren't completely ripe, but we'll bring them inside and they'll ripen on the vine. The whole plant is loaded with big fat clusters like this. And we have a couple aromas here that are ready as well. Grab that one. Nice big, or San Marzanos, excuse me. Nice big tomatoes. We found a tomato hornworm, and I'm terrified of these things. Well, they destroy your plant, and you can see he's eaten all of the leaves off of this tomato plant, and he'll just keep going. So I'm gonna go throw him. If I had chickens, I'd feed them to him.
That thing is so big.
In front of our tomatoes, we chose to really pack in and plant all of our sweet peppers. So we have some shishito peppers, which are great to like saute and blister. You can see they're super prolific. And we have 4 plants there, and we've interplanted basil because it gets nice and shaded from all the other plants. And you can see we have some really nice basil growing. These are Merlot peppers, and here's something interesting. We just got done with a major heat wave, early heat wave here in Sacramento, and you can see some of our bell peppers got sunburnt or sun scald. And so this isn't from a pest or a disease. This is just from getting sunburnt. And we could have probably prevented it by putting up a shade cloth, but bell peppers or large sweet peppers are super susceptible. So I'll just clip these off and put them in the compost. If you catch them really early, you can still eat them, but it was 109 last week. So just clip these ones off. And, you want to clip them off because they'll promote the plant to set more fruit. This one's kind of hard to do. Like this one we could probably save and just cut around it because all this is still good, except for the spider webs on it. Yeah, you see that's a little bit of blossom end rot and sun scalding. Moving on, we have some habanadas that haven't set any fruit. They're a sweet habanero variety from Row 7 Seeds. They don't look super great, so we'll just keep tending to them. And then moving down this way, we have Hungarian wax peppers. And these are fun to plant because they do have a little bit of heat, but if you pick them early, they're more like a peppercini. So I'll just pick some of these, make like refrigerator pickles out of them. But these, we've been really happy with these. They're super prolific. This is probably our 3rd harvest of about this size. And then just more basil over here that you can see just from the heat starting to flower. And with basil, just pinch off these or cut them off. and you'll force them to get bushier. And basil's fun because the more you pick it, the bushier it gets, and you can get a bigger harvest. So, I'm gonna just pick some basil here for fridge, and the tomatoes that we harvested always go good with basil, so just pick a couple. This is like a Genovese Italian basil variety. Just wash them off. And then I really like these Fiskars. They're like the small variety pruners because they're great for harvesting. I don't like to twist and pull as much, but you just come in here and start picking away. So yeah, they're the Fiskars. They're not very expensive at all, and we use them all the time. Last little things in this U-shaped bed. We planted some pumpkins, direct seeded some pumpkins in here to let grow in this area. And then this is actually a volunteer tomato that was growing in with our garlic, but I'm kind of letting go feral. I've done really very minimal pruning. I've just been tying it up. You can see it's like growing out the back. So I don't even know what it is. It looks probably like a hybrid between a Roma that we grew last year and a cherry tomato. But we'll see how they go. All right, let's move on. A couple blueberry bushes that we got great 2-3 harvests out of. And these are Jerusalem artichokes or sunchokes, which are kind of a tuber. They're native to North America. Minimal maintenance, super easy to grow and fun. And the one thing I would say is don't plant them in the ground anywhere you don't want them forever, because they will just keep coming back and keep coming back and keep coming back. So that's why we have them in this box. And we probably got 15 to 20 pound harvest last year. And here's our tomatillo. Let's see if any of these are ripe. This is our first year successfully growing tomatillo, so I'm still learning. But what you want to do is you want to pinch them to see if they're ready. So some of these can take a little bit more time. See, they still have some room left in the husk. Let's see if there's any that are completely ready. Oh, there's probably one right there. Yeah. Spider. So you can see they start to turn, and there's really not much room left in the husk. And we made a delicious salsa verde out of a harvest the other day. I don't think there's any more. Everything really slowed down in the heat wave. Here's a Berkeley tie-dye tomato that is kind of struggling. I don't know if it's the soil in this box, or it looks like it has spider mites and maybe some black fungal disease that I've been treating with both insecticidal soap for the spider mites and then like a copper fungicide. And we've still gotten some good harvests out of it. It's just really slowed down growth compared to the rest of our tomatoes. The last of our 4 tree boxes we have here are just some store-bought plants. It's a big slicer tomato that I'm trying a tomato cage again with because we had it. And then 3 more hot peppers, stuff I've never tried before, like a Cajun bell. It's a spicy bell pepper, but they look super happy in here. And I've been really happy with this straw mulch. Very little weed seeds, and it's really helped reduce our watering. I'm only watering most of the garden every 4 days for 30 minutes on a drip system, and it's still, we've been using a moisture meter, and it's still showing that it's moist even that, so I could probably back it off a little bit too. So if you watched one of my previous videos about how to trellis your tomatoes, don't call me a hypocrite because I'm using this tomato cage. I'm just experimenting with different things and letting things happen. And I showed in that video how to do this kind of Florida weave, like a mini Florida weave, and then also how to grow on that back trellis, like weaving things in and out. So we're just trying different things here and trying to give you guys the best advice. All right, another bed here that has a mixture of sunflowers that you can tell are done, but we're gonna try to harvest sunflower seeds Let me move down here. I did plant 4 more spicy peppers in here, Fresno and 2 jalapenos, and then a Santa Fe pepper in the back, which we'll get over there and harvest. These do get shaded out a little bit, so maybe not the best application. But a fun thing we're growing this year is this green zebra tomato. So it's supposed to be green, and there's actually one that's ready to harvest right here. And you can see they do turn a little bit yellow, and they're super sweet. We had them the other day. I'll probably grow them again next year. They're great. They're from San Diego Seed Company. I don't know if you can see like the sweet coloration of them. But this one, get this out of the way for you guys. This thing is loaded with fruit. We have 2 plants in here. It's a mini Florida weave. Check out that video, like I said. And I've really pruned them up and then let them go in this weave. Oops. You can see how much fruit is on them just with 2 plants. So we just noticed all this new growth on the sunflowers is covered in aphids, and you can see the ants are farming the aphids. I probably just need to clip all this stuff off and get rid of the aphids. Ugh. Let's move around. We planted some more flowers in the back. I love these zinnias. They're great for cut flowers and just good color in your garden, bring in pollinators. And we planted more basil back here that also needs to be kind of cut back because it's starting to flower. And we've really noticed a big increase in pollination percentages since we've added all these flowers intermixed in the garden. It's pretty. It mixes up what your garden looks like. But this basil, some of it probably needs to get picked. So let's find a good couple chunks. Maybe just cut it all the way back here. This is that Santa Fe pepper I was talking about. Never grown them before. And they're like a spicy snack pepper. So I don't know how hot they are. I'll try it later and see how it goes. So another main chunk of our garden here is we have 3 4x8 beds with this arch trellis. And this year we're planting cucumbers and butternut squash and center cut squash up the trellis. And then here I have a zucchini that is gigantic and needs to get harvested. And it was just so hot this week, I literally didn't come out in the garden. Of course, I can't even cut it, it's so big. There we go. So, big old giant zucchini. This will probably either get stuffed or shredded for other things. Not the greatest for sauteing once they get that big. And then you can see here, this is an under-pollinated zucchini. So the female flowers even, they'll grow little fruits even if they're not pollinated, but then they just die off like this. And then we also, like I said, we interplanted more flowers. These are super pretty rudbeckias that just bloomed. And we have some French marigolds in here. Yet another volunteer tomato. I have no idea what kind of tomato it is, but it does look like a little cherry tomato.
I bet it's a sun gold.
I bet it's a sun gold. Into the center of the arch trellis, these butternuts are starting to really flower on this side. And then the zucchinis, the cucumbers, they didn't fare in the heat super well, so but we'll clip that one. I think there's another one in here. I mean, this is kind of a weird looking one.
It's It's on the other side. Oh no, that's right there.
Yeah. These are like little they're supposed to be gherkins, but they look cross-pollinated. And then this big fatty. And then the really big fatty. That's a giant cucumber. You can see these butternuts, they get a lot more sun. So you can see through here, we've got like 4 nice little mini butternuts that are perfect for like 2 people for dinner. They're not quite ready yet. And then these are center cut squash from Row 7 Seeds. They're a Trombosino variety that is supposed to be a little bit more flavorful than a zucchini. You can see they're doing pretty good. We've got 2 more over here. Those vines are supposed to get about 10 feet tall. So hopefully, once it cools down a little bit this week, we can get them going again and get them up to the top. And then in the middle, just some strawberries that didn't take super well to the heat. 109, like I said. All right. This side, more zinnias, which are always pretty. Another volunteer tomato, just kind of letting them grow when they're in an advantageous spot. And then these are garlic chives. So I actually like these. And these are kind of perennial in our region. So you just have to cut them back, and this one obviously has been neglected a little bit from being cut back. The last bed, more of these giant zinnias, just keep growing. And then we have a yellow crookneck squash. It's doing pretty well. It's actually got 3 on there, but I have a bunch in the fridge, so I'll let these get a little bigger. And we have some more perennial herbs that we've let flowered for the pollinators. This is oregano. Probably just let it flower and then cut it back, and it'll regrow. The last section is another vertical trellis here that we grew our beans up, and you can see they just got hammered by the heat, but there are some beans on here. These are Kentucky Wonders, so they're super long, probably a little over ripe. We'll harvest a couple of those. And then this is fun thing. First time we've grown it, you can see the heat just dropped them all. It's a ground cherry, and I'll show you what they look like on the inside if there's a good one. Yeah. So they're part of the tomato family, nightshade, just like tomatillos. It's called a husk cherry, ground cherry, and they taste like pineapple, vanilla fruit. They're weird, but they're good. So I'll harvest a bunch of these too. And they're good for snacking, but they all fell off in the heat. There's any other, yeah. Here. You can see why they call them ground cherries. They tend to fall off as soon as they get ripe, and it's a very shrub-like bush. I was really hoping to train it up this trellis, but it's not cooperating, so I'm kind of letting it do what it wants to do. Look at them all. They're just all over the place. It's been pretty prolific. I think this is the 3rd or 4th time I've harvested from it. Yeah, you can see these beans, they just don't like the heat. And then This was a mistake on my part by not reading the seed packaging. I thought these were pole yellow wax beans, but they're bush beans. These yellow wax beans. So we'll probably try to do another late season plant to get, maybe in July we'll plant another planting of beans to bring us into the fall. All right, so here's our harvest. Going to kind of make it look a little bit prettier and see what we got. Really appreciate you guys joining us on that tour. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, give us a like. It helps us out, and we're going to be sharing a lot more, like I said, garden DIY, and really bringing your harvest into the kitchen and doing some stuff like that. Appreciate your guys' time. Have a good day.
Tell me the deck is stacked.